So there was something huge that happened in Canada. You might have missed it. The Canadian truckers have had enough of this COVID thing. They're in a car, or in a cab of their truck, and they're forcing vaccine mandates on them. They've got to go through all kinds of things, including have a little vaccine passport that we heard on Friday's episode is a little bone chilling. You get a little, you get a little digital passport, a COVID passport, and all you have to do is bring it someplace, and then they scan the little code, and you're in or you're out. Well, one of the truckers was telling us that he went to the border coming out of the U.S. into Canada, and he held out his app so they could scan the QR code, and the Border Patrol agent said, "Oh, we don't need that. We get notified whenever you get X number of feet away from the border. We know exactly who you are and all of the information." Oh, that's good. That's good. So that doesn't sound too fascistic at all. Ezra Levant is here. This is a very controversial weekend for some, and they have tried to twist this into these truckers being fascist, and I don't even understand how you can make that unless you're just a country full of boobs, and I know we are, but I thought Canada might be a little better than that. Ezra, how did this play over the weekend?
It was amazing. I had the pleasure of being down there. It was about minus 22 degrees Celsius, which is as cold as it sounds. Holy cow, did that. Normally, that would just stop any public protest, but it was packed. When I pulled into Ottawa, it was like I was at a city that won just the Stanley Cup playoffs or something. It was jubilant. It was festive. There were people on the streets honking horns, waving flags, literally spontaneously singing the Canadian anthem. So far from being negative fascists, these were democratic, patriotic, peace-loving, unity-focused Canadians. I want to tell you something about the Canadian trucking industry. For whatever reason, there's a huge number of Sikh Canadians who are truck drivers. Sikhism, the religion from India. Mm-hmm. So it's visible minorities, it's new Canadians. To call those people racist, alt-right, it's just bizarre and laughable. And there's a lot of indigenous, like Métis and Indian truck drivers too. So it's a very racially diverse industry. So when Trudeau trots out his normal, you're racist, you're sexist, it didn't really work as well. And here's one more thing about it, Glenn. There were, I'm going to say, between 50,000 and 100,000 people actually in the convoy. And by convoy, there was a bunch of convoys threading their way towards Ottawa from different parts of Canada. It wasn't just one long train. And along the road, I'm going to estimate you had 1 million people, perhaps, waving and greeting from overpasses. It was so many that traffic authorities turned off the traffic cams. You can often see what a road is like by going online in the traffic cam. They turned those all off. Well, why is that? And then in the Ottawa area, they shut down bridges and roads, claiming it was for safety reasons. And now they
made it illegal for you to do that, right? You couldn't go on an overpass and stand there and wave.
Yeah, which is so obviously unconstitutional, but more importantly, obviously has nothing to do with public health. This is just Venezuela-style tactics now. When I was in Ottawa yesterday, I was there for about 48 hours. I'm back in Toronto now. When I was leaving, I saw more and more police, and I recognized their uniforms. They're not just Ottawa police. There were at least 4 police forces from Toronto, from Dundas region, from Durham region, Mounties. And I walked up to 3 of the groups. I said, "Where are you from? Why are you here? Who sent you here? What was your purpose?" And they actually spoke with me, which surprised me. And they said, "We're here for backup." I'm here backup for what? What are they planning? And they were standing dressed in black from head to toe. They weren't in some staging area. They weren't like waiting somewhere. They were on the streets for intimidation. There were snipers we also have video footage of snipers on the rooftops. What's that about?
Well, they did that. They did that to me when we were in the mall in Washington. They had snipers up on the roof, and they said it was going to be violence and everything else. And of course, there wasn't. It's sad to see this, but really, I think giving a lot of Americans and I think people around the world a lot of hope. I mean, how many people actually were there?
Well, it's tough to say, and Ben, I don't think we're ever going to actually know, because the people who would know, as I pointed out, they're shutting off the cameras, they're blocking the roads and highways and bridges. So they're trying to reduce the number and reduce the perception of the number. So I don't know if this is the kind of thing where you're able to actually trust the authorities. And I don't want to seem paranoid, but if they are literally banning you from being on the side of the road, they don't want you to be part of this large movement.
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, in Orwell's book, 1984, there's a phrase, if there's any hope, it lies with the proles. That was his way of saying the working class, the proletariat. And that's what I loved about this, is it was the truckers. It wasn't the official opposition. It wasn't some public intellectuals. It wasn't, some college of physicians and surgeons. It wasn't some celebrity. It was the least celebrity people in the world, truckers. And the idea that they have to be vaccinated to do their job is absurd. I mean, there's no more isolated job than a long-haul trucker other than maybe a lighthouse keeper. So this was pure punishment. These are the folks who kept us fed for 2 years, who gave us our food and our medicine and our PPE and all that stuff.
Well, they've already turned against the nurses, and now they're doing the truckers. I mean, they'll literally bite the hand that fed you. So Trudeau came out, called these guys fascist, racists, and now, hasn't he yesterday said, kind of, I'm doubling down and making these people pay?
Oh, yeah. I mean, his transportation minister went on TV saying they're looking at making vaccine passports a requirement to go from province to province within our country. So that's Trudeau's way. I mean, remember, Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, was close friends with Fidel Castro. And Trudeau Jr. is a super fan of the Castros and has been to Cuba. And remember, Trudeau, when he was running for office, said the country he most admires is communist China. And he specified why. He said, quote, because of its basic dictatorship. He literally said those words. So he's very third worldish about this. He's very Hugo Chavez about this. Shut down the roads. Have the police block the truckers. And then when they were all converging on Ottawa, he did the third world dictator move and he fled. He fled. Who knows where? I mean, very, very Castro-ish in his approach. He didn't come down like Donald Trump. If it was a peaceful protest, he might have come down to engage them. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't run away, bravely run away. I think Trudeau is going to be vengeful because this is the first challenge to him that is truly organic and truly authentic, and he can't buy it off.
So how are people in Canada going to react to that? Is this
there's a great war on right now of two clashing narratives because, like I say, 1 million people have firsthand observations about the movement, so they know what they saw, and they will probably believe their own eyes. But then you have the manufactured narrative, the government-run media, Trudeau's state broadcaster, that are saying, oh, there was a Nazi swastika flag. And there was a picture of a swastika flag nowhere near the actual protest. And strangely enough, the people circulating the photo never bothered to say, well, who is this person? And I think it's quite likely that it was like a Ray Epps moment where someone said, well, look, we need to have some Reichstag fire. We need some excuse to vindicate our claims that this is it's the most peaceful people you ever met. It was like a free love kind of. It were people going truck to truck, giving hot coffee, giving food. Like it was, there were protesters going around picking up garbage.
It is for the most part the same kind of people that are down here that listen to us. They are good, decent, honorable people. That have really kind of had enough. And that's not going to change them. They're just not going to take it anymore. They're not going to sit here and just be bumps on the log. They want their voices to be heard. There is this Nazi flag. There was also I think a Confederate flag, which must make no sense in Canada. But and there is video of the legitimate protesters going up to that guy going, why are you even here? Nobody was in a mask. Yeah. He was in a mask. Yeah. Why are you even here? Just go. This is not your rally. Yeah. And he did leave.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I don't want to get into U.S. Civil War politics. It's not my area of expertise. It has nothing to do with Canada. We just simply aren't. That's not part of our story one way or the other. That is a media symbol. And I think that you saw two agents provocateurs. And I think one of the reasons for that is it's such a powerful grassroots moment. It's like the yellow vests a few years ago that came out of France and electrified the world again. It was uncontrolled by authorities. It was grassroots. It was blue collar. Same thing with the truckers. I see now there's a trucker convoy in Australia. I see there's truckers in the Netherlands. So this trucker idea is catching on. This has to be killed in the cradle before it spreads. Let me give you one more measurement. This trucking convoy had a GoFundMe page. Last I checked, they had raised like $8 million. And all these government types were trying to get it canceled and deplatformed. I don't think they succeeded in the end. But just for 1 second, realize what $8 million is. Canada is 1/10 the size of America in terms of population. So that would be like $80 million in crowdfunding, probably the largest crowdfunding in Canadian history. Like imagine if you had $80 million. So even if they didn't get the money, Glenn, that shows you how deep and wide the support is. That's what they're afraid of. Because for the last 2 years, you've had a total system failure in Canada. The official opposition has not opposed. The judges have not been a check and balance. Not a single court case has gone against the lockdowns. The media party completely complicit. The colleges of physicians and surgeons have suspended doctors who give out exemptions. The chambers of commerce have bent the knee. There has been no institution. Every single, at least you've got Ron DeSantis and the governor of Texas and the governor of South Dakota. You've got some opposition. You even have a few Democrats who are saying this has gone too far. But in Canada, every single government and every single opposition are lockdownists. So you've had a total system failure. And what you're seeing in this trucking convoy is a grassroots movement saying, well, we're not represented by anyone else. Here's someone doing something tangible and concrete.
So is this? So let me ask you one last question, because I've got to run. I've got a network break. But are you seeing non-conservatives involved in this?
Huge. You know what? So many young women. I think they're worried about vaccine side effects. So many people who said, well, hey, I used to be against Big Pharma. Where is my left-wing party supporting them? Hey, I used to be my body, my choice. Why are all the socialists in favor of government? I used to be for privacy. Like all these folks who used to be represented on the left, they're sort of the RFK Jr. model of liberalism. And they're saying, where is the left? The left has abandoned me. You know what? I'd say a third of our viewers are Rebel News these days. 2 years ago, they'd call themselves liberals and Trudeau voters.
Wow. That's remarkable.
Oh, it's a totally new coalition. It's against the bully state.
Yeah, I think it's happening here as well. It's happening all over the country. We're finding ourselves with strange bedfellows, but really not so strange once we get to know each other, because those people have always believed in the Bill of Rights, and we have always believed in the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
Ezra, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Ezra Levant, he is the man at Rebel News, and Rebel News is the man, if you will, for news up in Canada, and they've come under tremendous amounts of pressure, and they remain standing. They are the Blaze of Canada, if you will. We have a lot in common with them. Ezra Levant, thank you for being on the program.